Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taya and this is Taya's Turning Pages. So you might not be able to tell, but I'm actually really irritated right now. I'm trying to smile through the pain. I'm trying my hardest here. So by the title of this video, you can tell that this was supposed to be a reading vlog where I focus on these two books written by Alexis Daria. You Had Me at Hola and Like Adios. This is part of a series that she created. It's called her Primas of Power series, and it focuses on three cousins, Jasmine, Michelle, and then I'm assuming the third book will focus on their cousin Ava, but I'm not sure when Alexis Daria plans on publishing that or anything of the sort. But for right now, I'm focusing on this book because I lost all of my clips for this book, and I'm so irritated. But
now you done piss me off.
But we move. So I'm gonna give a quick synopsis on what this is, and then I'm gonna go into detail about my thoughts and if I recommend this book. So I'm just actually going to read the back here because I don't have time to kind of conjure up everything about the synopsis, to be honest, and my camera's dying. So let's get started. There are three bullet points on the synopsis, so I'm going to read those first and then get into the actual summary. So the first one is: leading ladies do not end up on tabloid covers. Leading ladies do not need a man to be happy. And finally, leading ladies do not rebound with their new co-stars. After a messy public breakup, soap opera darling Jasmine Lynn Rodriguez finds her face splashed across the tabloids. When she returns to New York to star in a new bilingual romantic comedy television show, Jasmine figures her leading lady plan should be easy enough to follow, until a casting shakeup pairs her with telenovela hunk Ashton Suarez. After he was killed off his last telenovela, Ashton is worried his career is dead as well. Joining this new cast as a last-minute addition will give him the chance to show off his acting chops to American audiences and ping the radar of Hollywood casting agents. To make it work, he'll need to generate smoking hot on-screen chemistry with Jasmine. Easier said than done, especially when a disastrous first impression smothers the embers of whatever sexual heat they might have had. With their careers on the line, Jasmine and Ashton agree to rehearse in private, but rehearsal leads to kissing, and kissing leads to a behind-the-scenes romance worthy of a soap opera. While their on-screen performance improves, the media spotlight on Jasmine soon threatens to destroy her new image and expose Ashton's most closely guarded secret. So that is the synopsis of this phenomenal book. I gave this a 5 out of 5 star. I talked about this a little bit more in my September wrap-up, which I will link in the cards above here, but I thought this was brilliant. This had all of my favorite tropes, honestly. It had Grumpy the Sunshine. It also had, to an extent, fake dating involved in it, but also this really focused on larger themes more than just the romance. And that's one thing I really loved about Alexis Daria's writing style in her books. She not only includes the romance as a plot point, but she also includes other larger themes, like I mentioned, and conversations that are included in the book. She, talking about Alexis Daria, is a New York native. She's specifically from the Bronx, and she is Puerto Rican, so you can see all of that come out in her books, and I just love that. It just feels like I'm reading something from a friend, and it makes me feel like she's just a girl from around the way. I feel like I could just go down around the corner and run into so many Alexis Darias, because she just seems so down to earth, so humble, and I just really loved how all of that poured through and shined through in her writing style. So what I thought about Jasmine, starting off with her, I thought Jasmine was an amazing heroine. I loved her as a main character, to be honest. I thought she was so sweet, she was so charming, so kind, and you could tell that she wanted everyone around her to feel welcome and make them feel important, and we just need more people like that. So I really loved her personality. I'm not gonna lie, when I went into this, I thought she was probably going to be written as a mean girl, because you know how we get those tropes when it comes to Hollywood actresses and actors. So I thought she was going to probably be mean, but she turned out to be so sweet and so kind, and I loved her character from start to finish. She's a hopeless romantic like myself, so I felt seen. I was like, yes, for that representation. You can tell she just wanted to be loved, and she wanted to also give the love that was in her heart to someone. So loved her. I also loved how ambitious and career driven she was. She really focused her self on her job and making sure that she could break into the American mainstream Hollywood entertainment industry, and I just loved that aspect of the book. And then moving on to Ashton. Ashton, on the other hand, was actually very standoffish, very reserved. He really did not want to venture out and come out of his shell. He really was trying to just do his job and go home, but Jasmine was not allowing that, honey, and I loved it. And when you get further into the book, I'm not going to spoil it because it's not in the synopsis, but when you get further into the book, you realize why Ashton is so guarded and why he is so standoffish towards everyone, not just Jasmine, and it all makes sense. His safety and his family's safety is really always at stake because of how much of a huge telenovela star he is. He doesn't have that much privacy, neither does Jasmine. So he's very, very like reserved and just very guarded, and it all makes sense. But I really enjoyed his character. I thought that there was so much growth between the both of them, but also with Ashton, like from page 1 to the end, you just see him opening up his heart more and really becoming more infatuated with Jasmine, and I just thought that was beautiful, and I thought this was beautifully written. I also forgot to mention that the smut in here, 10/10, recommend. Okay, it was amazing. I'm sorry if you're not really into smut, then like maybe skip those scenes because they do get very steamy, and they get steamy very quickly, but I thought it was done tastefully and I enjoyed it. I read It Happened One Summer, as you see right here. That is like one of my favorite romance books that I read this year, and the smut level in that was amazing, and it just reminded me, this book reminded me of that, to be honest, when it came to it. So yeah, I think that this had everything that you could want in a romance, in a contemporary romance. I think it had everything that I could have asked for. Like I mentioned, this not only focuses on the romance portion, but this also talks a lot about ageism and aging out of an industry, specifically the Hollywood entertainment industry. Ashton is a bit older than Jasmine, so he's constantly worrying about if he's too old for a certain role or if his audience will still find him interesting and attractive and all of that other stuff. So there's larger discussions on ageism. There's also discussions on how toxic and abusive tabloid culture was and still is. I grew up in the mid to early 2000s, like, so I remember when, you know, People and like People magazine and just all of these like tabloids would constantly just plaster unflattering images of so many celebrities, specifically women celebrities, on the front page and just invading their personal space and their privacy. The person that I'm thinking about the most, of course, is Britney Spears. Free Britney. It's Free Britney until it's backwards, okay? But yes, I thought that that was such an interesting take and plot point that Alexis Daria included in this book, and I thought it was well needed, just because that stuff really was like at its peak back in the mid 2000s. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. If you take a look at my brothers and sisters across the pond in the UK, I know that tabloid culture is very big over there, especially when it comes to the royal family. So I just thought that was really interesting how she included that, and it really affected Jasmine and her mental health, and it was really sad to witness because, of course, women celebrities and entertainers get more like hate and just trolling, I feel like, than male entertainers and singers and rappers and stuff like that. I mean, like, you could look at the disparities and the disadvantages between the two groups, and you can like clearly see who gets the brunt of it and who, you know, kind of gets a little slap on the wrist. So yeah, I just thought that was really great that she included that. I also really enjoyed the Hollywood and the entertainment aspect of it. I forgot to mention that in the earlier clips, but I enjoyed the soap opera and telenovela discussions because I watched Jane the Virgin when it was on, and I really enjoyed that show. I thought it was great, and it really introduced most of us, I think, in the American audience to telenovelas and what that was all about. I love the dramatics, I love the flair, I love the theatrics, all of it. I ate it up. And when I was growing up, I actually used to watch The Young and the Restless with my grandparents. So I think that's where I got my like knack for the dramatics and why I love reality TV and all of that stuff so much, because of my childhood. So to see that represented in here, it was chef's kiss. I loved it. I also really like the fact that she included themes of family and remembering your roots, and just because, you know, you grow up or because you become a famous like superstar or like actress or actor, you should never forget where you come from. You should never forget your family and remember like where it all started. I just really love family oriented themes included in books because I'm a family oriented person. I love my family. I love spending time with my family. I love talking to them, etc., etc. So I just really like when that's represented in books, and I love to see it from different like cultural standpoints. So I'm not Latinx, but I love to see like Latinx culture and traditions and how similar their family traditions and experiences are to the Black community's family and tradition and experiences. I just think that there are a lot of parallels, and I just love reading more about it and love diving into that world. I learned so much you know, about Puerto Rican culture in specific, because Alexis Daria is Puerto Rican, so you can really see that, like I said, through the book, and I enjoyed it through and through. I thought it was great. And I just also wanted to say that this book does a really great job, of course, showing Latinx representation. I thought Jasmine and Ashton were both amazing characters, and I was so glad to see, like, again, them being represented and them falling in love and us following their love story, but also their career trajectory. I thought that was just brilliant. But I do think that this was just really interesting to see and witness and to dive into this world and get to know more about their culture. To expand on that even further, and I know I'm kind of going fast, but that's just because like my camera is dying, and like I said, I already filmed clips for this, so I'm really upset that I lost it. But anyways, another thing that I wanted to expand on was Alexis Daria included a lot of Spanish in here, and there were no translations for that Spanish, and I'm glad that she didn't. I'm glad that she didn't include that, because yes, learn. If you want to know what the characters are saying or what the dialogue is, take your ass on Google, go on Google Translate and look it up. I just thought that was really nice that she made this so authentic to the point where there was actual Spanish dialogue included, and it was a decent amount. It wasn't just, you know, randomly thrown here and there. It was a lot like included in this book. And I took Spanish in college for 2 years, so my junior year and my senior year, and this just like brought back so many memories. I still have dreams of becoming fluent one day, so this really helped me stay sharp. It helped me roll my R's, and I appreciated that so much. And yeah, I really don't have too much else to say about this. I thought this was great. The ending was phenomenal. We also get an epilogue, which I appreciate. I love when authors include an epilogue, because yes, I need to know what are the next steps. I need to know what are my faves up to and what can I expect, you know, out of the relationship, and if they get married and all of that stuff like that. So I appreciated her for including a little mini epilogue, just kind of documenting what lies ahead for Jasmine and Ashton. So yeah, I'm really, again, pissed that I lost all of the clips for this, because I just had so many like reactions, like, oh my gosh, this is great, and I'm mad that I lost them all. But I at least wanted to come on here and give my thoughts on this book. Editing me here, so I realized in all of these clips that I'm really wearing the same hoodie and tank top throughout, and let's get this clear first. They're washed. I have washed them every single time, you know, we got on camera, so there's that. But also, I am a creature of habit. Lizzie McGuire, you're an outfit repeater. That is me. Kate was actually talking about me when she said that. So yeah, anyways, please just ignore it. Thanks. Hey y'all, I'm back. It's actually October 6th, and I think I left off filming my final thoughts on You Had Me at Hola back in September, and I was immediately supposed to read the second book in this companion series, which is called Like Adios, which is right here. Oh, it is backwards, which is right here. But I was reading it. I got about 22 pages in, and then I decided to put it down because spooky season fell upon us, and I wanted to read nothing but thriller books and horror books and all of that type of stuff. And I did that, and I'm still going to, but I really want to get back into romance, so I decided to put that on the back burner and focus on a little bit of my romance books. And I'm really happy that I did, because honestly, I needed a palate cleanser after reading all of those disturbing stories, and I decided to pick this back up because I really wanted to read this, and I was very excited about getting it, and yeah, I wanted to read it. So I got, like I said, about 22 pages in, and so far it was so good, but now I'm about maybe like 3 or 4 chapters in, and oh baby, this is it. This is the moment. I think that Alexis Daria is going to be an auto-buy author for me. I really think so. You Had Me at Hola, I gave 5 stars. That was like the only 5-star read I had for September, and I just feel like this is going to be very highly rated for me as well. So I think I mentioned this in earlier clips, but I'm going to say it again just in case I didn't. But this is actually a story following Jasmine's cousin Michelle. So again, going back to the whole companion series thing, the first book in this series is called You Had Me at Hola, and that follows 2 characters named Jasmine and Ashton. Jasmine has a cousin named Michelle, and this story right here, Like Adios, follows Michelle and her love story. So Michelle is actually an ex-corporate America employee. She used to work in marketing, and then she decided to, you know, make a career pivot and start up her own freelance business as a graphic designer, and she's very successful at what she does. She actually has a lot of clients on her roster, as she should, period. So yeah, she's thriving, living life. Her parents unfortunately aren't really like the happiest about her career move. She is the black sheep in her family. That's how she kind of like describes herself, but she's still living her life and doing her own thing nonetheless. And again, she's very successful at what she does. On the flip side of that, you have her love interest slash ex-best friend named Gabe, and Gabe actually decided to jet set off to the West Coast years ago, and he kind of left Michelle hanging. You know, he didn't really tell Michelle where he was going or anything like that. He kind of, well, he did, but like he told her at the last minute, and then there was like really not much she could do to get him to stay in their hometown, which is in New York. So yeah, and this is all in the synopsis, so I'm not like spoiling anything, but I'm trying to give context. So he just sets off to the West Coast, and he actually starts his own gym franchise slash business, and it's doing very well, to the point where his like investor asked him to open up a location in New York. So because of this, he needs help with promotion and PR and all of that stuff, and he reaches out to Michelle, who does, you know, marketing and graphic design services, to help with the launch of his new forthcoming gym in New York. And the story pretty much takes off from there. So this is a second chance romance. This is a friends to kind of enemies but not really lovers book. And I honestly didn't think I was going to really care for this one as much, just because it is more so of a friends to lovers, like it falls in that realm. And I'm just not the biggest fan of friends to lovers. I know that sounds so bad, yikes, but I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Like, I appreciate it, and I think it's beautiful when two childhood friends especially fall in love with each other. I think that's great. Love that. Love that for everybody. But like, when I'm reading romance, I like mess. I like a lot of mess. I want toxicity. I want all of that stuff when I'm reading romance. I don't know why, but that angst, I just feel like adds a little bit of oomph to the story. But I have to say, I am enjoying this a lot, and I think it's because it's a second chance romance too. Like, so there's also that added trope, and I love a good second chance romance. I love it. I eat that up. I think that is so beautiful, to be honest. When two souls meet again and they can finally, you know, have the love story they deserve. That is what this book I think is going to give me, and I'm really excited to get through it and get to the end to figure out if that is the case. So yeah, I also wanted to quickly say here that I'm only about maybe 3 or 4 chapters in, and there was already smut, and I'm here for it. I like when authors just get right down to the nitty-gritty with these characters. Like, yes, sometimes it's just needed. Sometimes you just need to just go right into it, and I appreciate Alexis Daria for doing that. And it honestly makes sense, because Michelle's character is very like direct. She's very direct with her feelings. She lets you know how she feels from the jump. She's also like a no nonsense, no BS type of gal, and I love that. And I think that was very fitting for her character, to be honest. So yeah, you get smut early, so if that's something that you're interested in when it comes to your books, if you don't like all that build up, I recommend picking this up then off of that alone. But I just had to say that, and that Alexis Daria does a good job at writing steamy scenes. You know, I mean, hey, I don't make the rules, but I kind of do. So yeah, but that's pretty much all that I have to say about it so far. Again, I'm not super far into the book, but I just wanted to come on here and kind of explain why this clip is being filmed so late, you know, way after September. But also I had to talk about like what I've read so far and get my thoughts out there before I forgot everything. So yeah. So I'm still reading this, and I just had to say that there is LGBTQ plus representation in this book, and I am here for it. Like, I really like Alexis Daria's writing, y'all. Like, it's so good. But yeah, I just had to quickly come on here and say that. Hey y'all, so it's actually Sunday, October 10th, and I just wanted to get on here and say a few things before I forget, because I feel like the next time you see me is probably going to be like the ending of this video, because I don't want to drag this out for too long. But I just wanted to say that I flew through so much of this book last night. I'm still like reading it, of course, you can see my bookmark, but I am almost like more than halfway through, and I'm probably gonna finish it today slash tonight, honestly, because it's just so good. And dare I say, I may like this a bit more than I loved You Had Me at Hola, or I may love this a bit more than I love You Had Me at Hola. And You Had Me at Hola was my only 5-star read for September, and it's still one of my favorite romance books that I read this year. But honestly, I'm loving this one a little bit more, and I was not expecting that. But I think also because Gabe and Michelle have a lot of history, Alexis Daria was able to play around with a lot more like complex themes and like just storylines and plot points than maybe You Had Me at Hola. So there's just a lot more depth, I feel like, within this story, because Michelle and Gabe like know each other, you know? So it's just great. Honestly, I'm eating this up. But yeah, I feel like Alexis Daria is going to be an auto-buy author for me. I'm calling it now. I sense it, I smell it. I'm here for it. I'm just gonna say it. She's gonna be an auto-buy author for me the way that Jasmine Guillory is. I love the representation that is included within this series, and I just cannot wait to read more from her, to be honest. And I did find out that this is a series. I read the back of the book, and I read Alexis Daria's biography right here, and it actually says, "You Had Me at Hola, the first book in her Primas of Power series, is a national bestseller." So the series is a companion series, and it is called Primas of Power. That's what the girls call themselves. They have a group chat. In the first story, you find out that they have a group chat that is called Primas of Power. So yeah, I just love that. The third book is more than likely going to follow their other cousin Michelle and Jasmine's other cousin Ava, and I cannot wait to read that one. But that also means that the series is coming to an end, and I'm really sad about that because I just know that this is like going to be probably like my favorite like romance series that I've read in a long time. I feel like I haven't felt this excited about a romance series than when I read Jasmine Guillory's like wedding date, you know, like universe, like that whole situation. I ate that up, and now I'm eating this up. So yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. To quickly say that these two characters find themselves in a trope that I love in romance stories, and I don't want to say what it is just because it's not mentioned in the synopsis, so I don't want to spoil it, but they do find themselves in a certain like tropey situation, and I love that trope more than anything else. So I cannot wait to dive further and further into this. So the next time you guys see me is when I'm wrapping up my final thoughts on this book. I'm probably also going to briefly like mention You Had Me at Hola in there as well, and just give my final thoughts on like the whole entirety of the Primas of Power series. I don't think I'm going to wait to upload this until the book that follows Ava debuts, because I just don't know when that's coming out. So when that does come out, I'll probably film a reading vlog for that, but you guys are only gonna get these two in this video. So yeah, my makeup done sweated off, my mask took off all of it, so please ignore me looking crazy. Hey y'all, so it is actually October 13th, which is a Thursday, and I'm sitting in front of my bookcases right now. Not all of the shelves are filled in because I'm still trying to collect more books, but that's not why we're here. We are here because I finally finished Like Adios by Alexis Daria, and it was so good, you guys. Like, I actually almost cried at a few of the chapters like towards the end because it was just so beautiful, beautifully written, beautiful imagery, like beautiful atmospheric tone. Everything about this 10/10. Like, I'm sorry, but I love it. I feel like this book may replace It Happened One Summer as like my favorite romance that I've read this year. Like, I'm just saying, I have a lot of romances that I've read this year that I consider like my faves now, and I'm gonna make a video all about that, but It Happened One Summer was like my first, but now I think this is in its top spot because this was just beautifully done. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away just because of course I think, you know, you should pick this up. If you haven't picked this up yet, or if you're hesitant on picking this up, please do so. Like, this is such a beautiful story. It doesn't only focus on romance, it focuses on larger themes too, and that's why I think I really enjoyed this story, because it focused on family. Alexis Daria is very big on family themes and family bonds and connections, and it makes sense just because I know like a lot of Latinx folks really pride themselves on like being family oriented and their families, and I just think that is so beautiful. I love stories that have like family ties, so I knew that this was going to be something that I ate up anyway. But it has conversations about that. It has conversations about dealing with, you know, toxic parents and navigating that. It also deals with just like confronting childhood trauma and working through that, but it also deals with like loneliness, isolation, being an introvert, but to the point where it's like you are pushing people away. Like, you're pushing people that want to be around you and that you even want to be around yourself, but because you're so guarded and so reserved and you've been burned so many times, or because you are so content with like keeping your emotions bottled up inside that you just push people away. So there's just so many important conversations in here, and I think everyone that reads this can take something away from it. Of course, the romance is a focal point in here, but I wouldn't say that it is the, I wouldn't say it's like the main point. Like, I just feel like it's kind, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's, you know how there's some romance books where you read them and like, again, the romance portion of it is there, it is like a main plot point and you recognize that, but it's not like the sole purpose of the story. Like, there are, like I said, other themes and topics that are explored that are emphasized throughout the book just as much as the romance. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's what I found with this, and I just thought that that was beautiful, and I almost cried at a few chapters, which I never do with books. I never do that with books, to be honest, because I don't know, I don't get that like attached. But some of these chapters, yeah, I almost cried. I did towards the end. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and say that I definitely recommend picking up this book. This was a 10-10 for me. Like, You Had Me at Hola was also a 10-10 for me, but this one right here, I think because this focuses on history, like, you know, having a past and having history with someone and baggage, I think Alexis Daria had so much more to play with when it came to Michelle and Gabe versus Jasmine and Ashton, who were the characters in You Had Me at Hola, just because they like did not know each other, of course, like years ago, whereas Gabe and Michelle did. So there was just so much like unresolved conflict here and all of that type of stuff, and it just made for a beautiful, well-written story. And Alexis Daria is an auto-buy author for me now. Like, I have to say it. She is going to get all of my coin, all of my money, because I just really loved her writing style. I love her writing style. It's so, so good. And I just really love reading books about Latinx folks and their traditions and their culture. I just think it's so beautiful. So I just love reading stories by Latinx authors written, and they write about like Latinx folks. I just love that. So this was a 10-10. I can't really say anything else like more, just because again, I don't want to spoil anything. Oh, the one thing I did want to say is that there's also like, so this is told in present day, but there are some chapters in here where that focuses on fan fiction. So both Gabe and Michelle used to co-write this like fan fiction for this like soap opera that they used to watch when back in the day, but the soap opera got canceled after like a season, so they decided to make their own fanfic about it. And it was so interesting and so cute to see like that dual like kind of like POV in a way, because you're obviously getting the dialogue and everything like that from both Michelle and Gabe in today's time, but you get to see back like 14 years ago like how they were and how their friendship was and how they interacted with each other. And like the fanfic like makes sense once you get to the end. Like, it makes sense as to why Alexis Daria included it. I don't want to give it away because it will be a spoiler, and it will be a spoiler for the romance portion of it, so I don't want to give it away. But I loved how she included it and how it just like wrapped up everything nicely in a bow. And I just love how it was an ode to, you know, Michelle and Gabe. I just love how it paralleled their actual lives, that the fanfic. I just thought that was brilliant. So yeah, great book. I also meant to say that the smut in here, 10-10, just like it was in You Had Me at Hola. Alexis Daria knows how to write smut, period. Like, I don't want to go too much into it because I know some people don't really care for it, but like I do. I like it. I like that. If I'm reading a romance, yes, it needs to be, for me, included in there. And she did it. She included it, and she included it well. So that is all I will say on the smut aspect. Book in the series, I'm pretty sure there is going to be a third one, because this is called the Primas of Power series, like I mentioned in an earlier clip. And there is another cousin that Michelle and Jasmine have, and her name is Ava. So I'm hoping that that book comes out soon. If it does come out, we might get it next year. I'm not really sure. I need to check Alexis Daria's Instagram just to see, but I hope it comes out soon. And I hope I can like somehow get approved on NetGalley to read it, because I love this freaking series. I love it so much, but I also don't want to read it right away because I don't want it to end. I do not want this to end, but these I feel like are actually going to be books that I reread. Like, I always try to act like I'm going to reread all of these books, knowing damn well I have way too many books on my TBR that I need to get through. But I could see myself really picking this up again, as well as You Had Me at Hola. I could see myself picking this up again and really like rereading this, just because the story was just so beautiful and so heartbreaking, but like it was great. It was great. Oh my gosh, I keep like going on and on about the same shit, but like it's true. Like, pick this up if you haven't picked it up. I'm so serious. In terms of which book do I like better out of this and You Had Me at Hola, so I've been going back and forth because I love You Had Me at Hola down. Like, I do. I love that book. That was what started it all. Jasmine and Ashton also make a few cameos in this book, and I just have to say thank you, Alexis Daria, for doing that, because yes, I need to see more of my faves. She also included an epilogue, just like she did in the first one, and I appreciate when authors do that. I know some people don't care for epilogues, but like, I'm here to tell you, I need closure. I need some type of closure. I need to know what my faves are up to, what they're about to get up to, and then end it from there. That's what I need. So I appreciate her writing style and that alone. But going back to what I was actually saying before I went on that tangent, which one do I like better? That's so hard to say, but honestly, like, You Had Me at Hola. Sorry, I have the TV on, so if you hear Olivia Rodrigo in the back, that's the TV. I apologize, but she's a queen though. But anyways, I really think that I prefer A Lot Like Adios a little bit more over You Had Me at Hola, and which I did not think I was going to say or even think, because again, I didn't care for friends to lovers romances, but I think because this just had so many more, like so much more important themes and topics woven throughout, I think that's what sold it for me. And because it was a second chance romance, I think that's what got me. If it wasn't a second chance romance, I might be singing a different tune, but because it had that, it sold it for me. And I love a good second chance romance. I love reading about people like falling in love all over again. Like, I just think that's beautiful. So I would say that I like this one, I think a little bit more than I like You Had Me at Hola, but I still love that book. Like, that's what started it all. It walked so A Lot Like Adios could run, okay? But yeah, I would say I like that one a little bit more, just because of how much more fleshed out it was, and how much more like, and how there was more depth, I feel like, to Michelle and Gabe's characters. So that's all I had to say. I just had to get all of that out because these are real life emotions, y'all. Like, yes, these are real life emotions. So yeah, but that is the end of my reading vlog for the Alexis Daria Primas of Power series, including You Had Me at Hola and A Lot Like Adios. I thought that this was, sorry, I just like moved my foot, so if you heard that noise, that's what it was. But I really love this series. I love the Latinx representation. I think that it is needed. We need more stories like this, but I'm glad that we're at least getting some now, and she's definitely an auto-buy author for me, period. You heard it here first. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I don't know when my next reading vlog will be, but I'm hoping it will be soon, and I'm gonna try to figure out some like other books that I could include in that. Maybe a thriller one, I'm not sure, but we will see. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading vlog, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!